yeah, go ahead. Yeah, good.
Okay. We agree that there's a judgment. The reason why I brought the chakras up is because if you learn about it, and you say where did it come from and all that. I personally, I can't tell you every book or every this or every that. That's up to the audience to go and do their research and find out. But the fact of the matter is, we do have a chakra system. It's just like saying, how you know we have 1,000 bones in our body? Well, I ain't never cut nobody open. But I do trust science to a certain degree, and science explains that we have a chakra system. I think the Bible talks about the Kundalini, and it talks about the pineal experience that, again, that's for them. See, they have the advantage of hearing what we're saying and charging us to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So take it, you don't have to take it as face value, but let's just do it like this. There's 7 chakra systems. Micro, macro, as above, so below. So everything that we see as a global view is also a miniature view. So in other words, the earliest maps, don't ask me the date, the earliest maps, if you go back and look at ancient maps that our ancestors created, which still is mind-boggling to me because it makes me wonder, how could they see an aerial view of the earth if they weren't using airplanes and stuff like that? But again, that goes to spirituality. The Dogons speak on how you can be here and away at the same time if you know how to ascend and use your spirituality that way. So because you have 7 chakra systems, like I said, Satan is here, Christ is here. There's a Christ consciousness. Satan, the color of the roots is a representation of red. Ain't that funny? The color of Christ is violet or violet. It's like a purple, lavender look. Okay? So Earth has the same thing. When you look at the tree of life, when you look at the Bible and it talks about heaven, the definition for heaven is sky. Everything we're in space right now.
Based on,
we're a planet, right? Planets are in space, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't view it that way. They say, space up there. No, space is here. And so when you break things down and just keep it simple, keep it real simple and just say, oh, I am in space. Heaven means sky. Sky is air. Air is water. And the Bible talks about that. When God created earth, based on what Genesis says, under the firmament was different levels of water. Go look for yourself. Different levels of water. Well, when we think water, we think wet.
Hold up. Okay. I want you to keep your thought, right?
Okay.
You're referring back to the Bible, and you're referring to it as literal.
Mm-hmm.
So now, how are you choosing that as literal, but then everything else symbolic?
Because I didn't use it literal. I use it symbolic.
You said
it said
the earth says
there's a firmament and different levels of water.
But that's literal.
Okay.
I'm saying you're referring to it as literal.
Okay, well, I don't think I am. Because if different levels of water will be broken down into oxygen. But it didn't say there's oxygen, then there's H2O, then there's...
Yeah, you're right. I'm saying you're referring to it literally. And so I'm trying to understand, how are you taking that literal, but everything else?
Well, to be honest with you, the only reason why I refer back to the Bible is to keep the attention of the audience. I don't need the Bible to tell you what we're in.
Gotcha.
I know we're in water.
Okay, we're in water now.
This is oxygen.
Gotcha.
H2O. What is oxygen? It's different densities is what it is. When you talk about the clouds, they're different density than the oxygen that we breathe. When you talk about water, when you go swimming, it's a different density of water. And now scientists have discovered that there's water beneath the water, which is probably what helped the movie Waterworld come out, because he went so far beneath the water that he found a cave that had hidden areas. That's a fact. I watch National Geographic every day. You ask me. Snakes, when they have their babies, they don't bring it to land. Snakes take it underwater to the deep blue, and they go and find a cave under the water. See, these are things that's hard for us to grasp because
the Bible talks
popular
about
view,
water coming from below and above. So that's
above. So that's what I'm talking about. So with that being said, it's related to the chakra. Why? Because under this firmament is what we're experiencing. But when we go to heaven, it's not a paved and all that. It's not all that stuff. You are ascending to another dimension. Right now, we're in a 3-dimension state. Us, human beings. Well, you know how people say, I see spirits, I feel this, I feel that. And even Magi's and high priests knew how to conjure up different spirits, stuff like that. It's not because they are humans. It's because they're on another dimension.
But to me, now, we have never died. So we don't really know what the depiction of heaven is. So that was the reason why I said that, our understanding of heaven, the streets of gold, that goes based upon the Bible. But as you see it, because you haven't died yet,
right,
it's still an organized, to me, religion. Because now you're depicting something that we don't have any thought. So it has to come from somebody else for us to actually get that depiction. So that's the organized thought of what it is. So that's when you say Shaka, and I'm not familiar with that.
Right,
I know about
Shakas.
tree life and stuff.
Right.
But I'm just saying that's still organized. You know what I'm saying? It is a religion. It's still our attempt to actually ascend, whether it's God or heaven. It's still our practice of trying to get there. So even atheism, in a sense, is a religion, right? Because it's a religion of unbelief, but they still have a focus around there's no God.
Yeah.
So that's an organized belief.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying about organized religion.
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to get an understanding of, how to get to your understanding of heaven, I would still have to understand where I came from.
Okay. You would have to understand some type of doctrine, maybe.
Right. So,
or you would use that term.
Egyptian, Kemetic, whatever. Even if you, and I think that's the danger that time right now we're in, because there's so many, like you were saying, so many people that have so many. Christianity is confusing now because we got so many layers, so many layers of everything. So now I think it kind of just comes to like a buffet style, like take this part if you
take what you like,
take this part, and then we become now the gods, I would say. We're in control. And I think that's what actually happened going back to the Garden of Eden, is that they wanted to become gods. They want to have control of their life, because now you have control not only of what you believe now, but even your future.
Okay.
So now you're not condemned when you do things that's not according to the Bible or the Quran or anything. So now you have your own consciousness, I guess, this kind of thing. It's like whatever I believe, that's what is.
Yeah.
But then we have a problem because we didn't, like I said, didn't create ourselves.
Yeah.
So we are, subjected to whoever is our creator. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So we have to understand first where our creator comes. So that's, thinking about the future. Now we got to understand the past.
Right.
So we know that all these different religious, organized religion, all of them can't be right? Because some of them are total contradiction to each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's where the Christianity is so much different, because Christianity said you cannot believe in any other religions other than Christianity. Yeah. And I think that's when, so many people have a problem with Christianity, because a lot of the polytheism, you believe, hey, good, hey, Krishna, you believe that's Jesus Christ. It's like a blending of faiths. And that's what's coming to the ecumenical movement. I'm not sure if y'all know about ecumenical, but it's about taking all the coexist, even under the Catholic Church, is like bringing all these other religions up under the Holy See of Catholic. So that's what's happening now. And I think that is even in our world today is going against our views. It's impacting our views. Now we see the world in a different way. What is a world without the Bible? Where traditionally, hey, America, we always been our laws, commit adultery. In the military, used to get you kicked out. I mean, even like Clinton got in trouble with that Monica Lewinsky. I mean, over sex. You know what I'm saying? So that was a Christian standpoint. Now with the difference in where we are going now, where we are in the world today, it's like, even Obama said we're no longer a Christian nation. So now we're kind of like, okay, what are we? What is our identity?
We never were. We never were. That's something that people said and ran with.
So when you say Christian, that's what I'm saying.
In other words, the forefathers of the country weren't Christians.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Okay.
So when they founded the country and invaded it, they wanted to make it what they wanted it to be. They came from a Jesuit system that they didn't like, that was persecuting them. So they came here.
So that goes back to what is America? Is America a European invasion, or was Native Americans here?
Oh, Native Americans, Africans were here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it is a European invasion, though.
Yeah,
right. But America
on
themselves was even before that, right? So they even, I don't know if y'all know, they had 10 Commandments, the Decalogue, in America before Columbus actually came.
Okay.
So even like some of the dialects of the Native American, they were talking about, concepts that go back to even Judaism. Native Americans that was here before Columbus. And, even Christopher Columbus even said it, and even some of the writing. So when we talk about West Africa coming here,
But see, now you're going back down the road of another point that I didn't finish, which was before all of that stuff, that's good stuff. I agree with you. All that stuff is good, and I'm sure that's what they were practicing. But prior to all of that, before 2019, before them 1,000 years, what were they doing? And then again, that takes us back to, I think, on the common question would be, what is the truth then? What is the true thing we should be doing? And my take on that in so many words is, man, throw it out. Start over. Look at what you're looking at. Question what you're reading. Question what words mean. Question your existence and what the word you live. That's what got me on the path I'm on. Being afraid to die and not knowing what happened after I die. Dang, now you got to study death, I think. Now you got, spirituality's there. And the rabbit hole gets deeper. You start tapping into things that you didn't think was related to what you were scared of, just to find out that they're scaring you on purpose. Mm-hmm. This whole thing is a fear tactic. Because as long as there's chaos and confusion, you need a government. You need somebody to control it.
Well, even the government is subjected to somebody else, right? If there is a God. So, that's
if
what...
They think there's a God, or if they hope there's a devil.
Well, Christianity...
Because the government is evil. All governments are evil.
Well, Christianity is also based upon prophecy. Fulfilling the prophecy.
Okay, yeah.
So, Jesus Christ was prophesied, thousands of years before he even came? Hundreds of years? And just the chances, I don't know if you heard about the probability of Jesus, there's a whole statistical study, that he even met, 8 of the different prophecies. It's like astronomical. It's like off. There's no other, probability. But he had like 30 to 50 more plus prophecies that he had to be on a donkey. He had to be born in Bethlehem. He had to do all these type of things. But all came
named. All
came
did the same thing too. Krishna did the same thing.
Who?
Krishna.
Okay, Krishna did what now?
Krishna was, so we say he was born on the 25th. We know that's not true.
Right.
But all of these previous deities had the same attributes.
So
Dionysus.
Right, I'm saying what proves, Dionysus, even with some of the cultures after Jesus, some of the gods actually changed beliefs. It used to be, like Dionysus was saying he was born out the thigh, but then an earlier tradition says that he had a different mom and dad. So some of the impact of what was happening changed some of the mythology.
Just like now today, some of the stories of Jesus will change if the books get lost. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying earlier when it's a lot of points I didn't finish. The victor controls the narrative. That's why they speak on a third of the knowledge is destroyed, a third is hidden, and a third you got to find. But there's a reason for that. Because if you go into a land of ancient people, Africans or whatever, I don't care about that. I'm black, but I'm not so black to where I can't honor somebody that was first. Or somebody that thought of something better or whatever.
Science was first. People came out of Africa.
Cool.
I'm just saying.
And I'm just hoping you make you see that I'm not making it a race thing. I'm just saying, based on what science and history has said, that this knowledge is old knowledge. What we're talking about with Jesus, with the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Well, in ancient times, it was the mother, the father, and the child. Well, before there was Christ, there was Krishna. Before there was someone, it was always a repeat. And I understand that different cultures have different language, so they give different names. But we're talking about thousands of. They said he did. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. None of them are real. What I'm saying.
With Christ, you got extra biblical sources. Even his enemies.
You got biblical sources.
Extra biblical. Extra means outside.
Outside of it. There's proof that Christ walked
Even the Jews were against Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So in the Talmud it talks about he's burning his excrement. He was a magician. He did all these things. Even the Romans wrote about Jesus. Even like Josephus wrote about Jesus. A lot of people in historical times
just outside about it. You ask Pete, just because they wrote it don't mean it's real.
But there's a lot more evidence of Jesus than even some historical characters.
You're saying people will write about somebody that they don't want to believe in?
It's called, I can't pronounce it, anthro something. It's where they take, you had stargazers in ancient time. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have a telescope. You had stargazers that saw, the Orion or the Sirius and all these things, and they made stories out of them. That's really what we're talking about. We're talking about stories of the cosmos.
Well, I'm saying if you have the archaeological proof that these things existed, you're saying that still was made up. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is what I was saying a minute ago before the camera stopped, which is that we're under a rule, a control that we don't really understand. Not even me totally. Again, it's something that I've sent Robert before, but
P, man.
P. Okay, because he said Brother Rob. He said Brother Rob, and I heard him. I said, okay, he said Brother Rob, I'm going to say Rob.
No, man. I'm P.
Christian brother said Rob, I'm going to say Rob, okay? But P, I told P one time, I was like, man, the government is evil. The government is evil. When you look up in the sky, you can barely see the stars anymore. You got chemtrails all over the place. You got the water being polluted. Even now in Detroit, still dirty water. You got all these vaccines. You got all kinds of laws that are against natural people. We're still considered in the Constitution. We're still what 2/3 of a human.
Yeah.
So that's demonic. That's again a part of the deception that came from the church was the earliest government. Did you know that?
The church.
The early forms of church was the forms of government. When you talk about the pharaohs and all of that, that was the government. They ruled the land. They made the rules. They told people how to worship, what to do, and all these things. They were considered to be their gods at that time.
Oh yeah, okay. Pharaoh worship, emperor worship type of thing.
Right.
I'm saying
right.
before then though, as we talk about the Bible,
right.
There was a God.
Yeah, but because they said it was, it doesn't mean that it was. What I'm saying is the stories that were told were taken literal.
That's why. Why are they stories, not history? Why are they not?
Because again, the birth of Christ is symbolic. You had 3 shepherds. That's the 3 stars up there. That's what Ron's
Bible say 3 shepherds.
But the Bible, what was the witness?
It says
in Bethlehem.
shepherds came with 3 gifts.
But
it wasn't 3 shepherds.
Okay, what were the 3 gifts?
And they said it was wise.
Wise men. That's what I'm talking about.
It didn't say 3 wise men.
It didn't say 3. That's what I'm talking about.
It didn't say 3 wise
men.
How many wise men?
Okay. It depends on what version you read. I guarantee you, if you look up different versions of it, have different count.
It should say they had 3 gifts. That's what's been assumed to be 3 wise men.
Yeah, they assumed.
So there's a lot of assumptions, even around Christianity, that's been kind of dark, like the apple.
Yeah.
It didn't Bible say apple.
Right.
So it says the fruit. There's a lot of things.
We accuse Eve of bringing sin into the world. They always like, the Bible speak down on the woman, but no, sin came when Adam ate it, not when Eve.
And I'll be honest, I'd break the story down a totally different way. I believe Adam and Eve are one person. When it says that he had Eve from his rib, the original Hebrew, and the only reason I know this is because there's an app where you can translate the Hebrew word. Okay, so the original Hebrew text says she came from his side. Eve is the ego that we have. Adam is the natural state of a man. You were born from the earth, and all these things. But Eve is the reason for the fall of man, is because that was the birth of the ego. When you ego, when you have someone just born, throw them out into a clean area, and what I'm saying is let them live on their own. Let them figure out, oh man, ain't nobody feeding them. I'm gonna pick this food up. They eat it. They don't figure out how to do anything different until what? They see something different. And so what I'm saying is the truth has always been there. The problem was when man came in and tried to change the truth and tried to make it something that they wanted it to be. Even if they made a story that was based off of the stars, true or false. When someone else hear that story, they can believe it or not. And then there's a group of people that's going to believe it and take it and make it something.
So that kind of goes into like, what's fact? How do we know what's true and what's not?
And that goes back to what I said. It's simple. Don't follow that. You can read it and get inspired by it and learn how to learn from that lesson of that story.
I'm talking about Christianity. I'm saying how, like even
like originally what's true.
Right. How do we know truth is truth? What do we use as our level to understand what's truth?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I don't have a great analogy for that, but I say if I'm at a light and I just got my license, I know to go on green. I know to stop on red.
Right? We've been taught that.
You've been taught that.
I'm just saying, like other countries might be a little different. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, our truth is basically either we,
it's like universal.
Historical
That's
documentation.
What I've been saying. It is universal.
We look at historical documentation. We look at archaeology.
Right.
We try to understand the stories with everything. Abraham Lincoln. We won't live during Abraham Lincoln, but we know the stories about Abraham Lincoln and all that. So it's what's been told to us. So even when we look at the Bible, we got to look at seeing what evidence is true. I think even throughout the Bible, that you can actually find archaeology to talk about all the stories from the Bible that's actually occurred. Even from I don't know if you even heard about the Noah's Ark that they found.
That little thing.
What do you mean?
You think that was real?
Which little things are
that Noah's Ark wasn't even about the length of a Cadillac?
That was
how big was it?
No, it was actually the same proportion that was actually measured out by the Bible.
And so what the Bible say was on Noah's Ark?
It said every kind of animal, right? The kind of animal, not every animal.
The kind. Break that
so
down.
You got different kinds, right? You got canines, you got feline. So does every type of dog got to be up there, or one type of dog? Just the kind of dog.
Even if you break, so you're saying every species is on there.
Right. Every
even
kind
if you break down every species, it's gonna fit on there.
So why wouldn't it? What's your term?
How big was the ark?
I don't know the exact.
Well, you said based on the measurements.
Right, but so
Any Christian know the measurement?
Yes, in the Bible. It talks about the Bible. But
y'all look it up.
So
all I'm saying is you can
I'm just saying, what's
it.
the biggest animal that's land animal on the earth?
A whale.
On Earth. They didn't take water.
Yeah,
water ain't water Earth. So
water
it was on the land animals.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we cut out a whole bunch of
elephant.
Okay, so what is a baby? Can a baby elephant fit on the ark?
It depends on how big it was. I don't know
baby
how big
elephant.
it was. I don't know how big it
elephant
was.
Like a calf elephant.
I don't know how big the ark is though.
Right?
I'm just being straight.
Well, if we look at the measurements, if you look at like the sizes of the animals, certain kinds of animals, scientists, Christian scientists have said this is possible. If you're talking about babies.
Because they're Christian.
Babies.
Of course they're going to support their
narrative. You're talking about babies.
But again,
right?
I'm not saying all the time. I just don't know.
Noah's Ark is about 300 cubits long, which is equivalent to 450 feet in length.
450 feet in length. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So like, what they say, like two football fields or something like that? I don't know what's comparison. So so it's big. It's a big boat. It's not like.
And they found that. They found something.
Right. The height of it also, as far as the elephant, the height of it is 3 stories. So 3 stories high. So
a baby.
Even as far as I feel like even an elephant,
regular elephant. So it's like a battleship, like a small battleship.
Okay.
So yeah, battleships. You got aircraft carrier. You got you got the planes and everything on top on that boat. So you can fit a lot of stuff, people and everything on the big side. Okay. But in Turkey,
but they did find it
in Turkey.
Okay.
So look it up. It's actually around right, and actually the dimensions are the same. They did the pressing of the wood, had glue in there. It was man-made object. It was actually on the news. It was back in the 80s.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that.
So, that goes back to government suppressing certain Sodom and Gomorrah. Josephus in the Bible. Josephus that lived right after the Bible times, right after Jesus was around.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about where Sodom and Gomorrah was.